So today we'll be talking about aneurysms.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Right. Okay, or aneurysm. Aneurysm is basically a dilation in your blood vessel, all right, permanent kind of dilation. Because of some damage, there is an abnormal dilation in the blood vessel. It can be congenital or it can be some acquired condition because of which your vessel wall is getting damaged. And ultimately, what will happen is the blood flow will change because of that dilation. So, if I have one blood vessel, so let's suppose a normal blood vessel looks like this. Your aneurysm can be of several shapes. I will draw one general shape. So a saccular aneurysm will look something like this. Okay, there is a abnormal dilation in the wall of the vessel, specifically because this part of the wall that you're seeing is either become weak or there is some kind of damage which is causing it to lose its integrity, because of which blood is pooling there. All right. This will mainly affect your aorta and its major branches. Right. So mostly your thoracic aorta, your arch of aorta, and it might even go up to your abdominal aorta, sometimes into your common iliac arteries. So if you remember, your aorta arises from here like this. So let's suppose this is your aorta. You have your aorta going like this. अच्छा ठीक है, मैं ऐसा उतार देता हूँ. So if your aorta is like this, the main branches of your aorta will be aorta. This portion of the aorta will be affected, ascending part. The arch might get affected sometimes. Thoracic aorta gets affected. Abdominal aorta gets affected, and sometimes the bifurcation that you see in the bottom, common iliac arteries, jo bifurcation hota, it might extend to that as well. But mostly this part is the one where what do you call aneurysms mostly occur. It can occur in other parts as well, but aorta and its branches are the main ones that will get affected. All right. This aneurysm can cause other effects as well, in the sense that if there is a saccular what do you call saccular weakening in your blood vessel wall, it can cause thrombosis. So if there is injury, it might lead to thrombosis there. Thromboembolism might occur. Blood flow alteration occurs, and the blood vessel at one point of time, after stretching to a certain extent, it might pop, it might tear. All right. Because यहाँ पर when we take a blood vessel like this, so from the normal blood vessel wall, it has changed. This part has become weak and it is now extending outwards. All right. There will come a point where that blood vessel wall will not be able to bear the pressure of blood and it will literally tear. Okay, that can happen with an aneurysm. All right. That is the basic of your aneurysm. Now, coming to the classification of your aneurysm. So one second. हाँ जी. Coming to the classification of your aneurysm. तुम लोग खाना खाए? For the past
Yes,
one or
sir.
two days, vertical classes have been starting around 1:30. I don't know why, but ठीक है. Coming to classification, now depending on certain criteria, you can classify aneurysms in different ways. Okay. Now depending on composition of vessel wall, okay, how many layers are involved and all of that. That is one way of classifying your aneurysm. You will have true aneurysm or false aneurysm. There'll be two categories. And false aneurysm. I'll show you one image. Hold on 1 second. Mm, See this. दिख रहा ये image? See this part specifically. True aneurysm में क्या होता? Your vessel wall is literally bulging out. It is dilating. All right. It is becoming larger where blood will pool in. In false aneurysm, what will happen is blood vessel wall will break and the contents of the blood will start pulling out. And when they pull out, a small blood clot will occur, and what will happen is a small pool of blood will be formed. Okay? Your connective tissue will come and it will try to form a clot like structure there so that blood does not completely pool out. ठीक है, वहां पर क्या होता, you do not have vessel wall involvement completely, you have blood that is pulling it, it is kind of like an abscess. All right, this is because of a fibrous wall that is being formed after trauma. All right, your blood vessel has completely ruptured and blood is flowing out, but that blood which is flowing out is getting pulled at one point, and what you call a fibrous wall is being developed, and basically a small clot like structure is formed, so that blood completely does not flow out, and that will form a saccular structure like this. This looks like an aneurysm, but it is not a true aneurysm. This is called a false aneurysm. I hope you understood the difference. ठीक है, यहाँ पर as you can see all the blood vessel walls are still intact, they are getting dilated but they are still intact. In this one blood vessel is breaking. If you can see this part, see this part, blood vessel wall is breaking and blood is pulling out. When it pulls out, it will form a fibrous wall so that blood does not completely get drained out, a complete hemorrhage does not occur. But what happens is this looks like an aneurysm, but it is not a true aneurysm. All right, now coming to the next what do you call classification, that will be based on shape. Now depending on the shape you will have, one second, let me show you another image. Depending on shape, okay, this will do. Right, depending on shape you will have three main shapes. Okay, one is fusiform, where you have this one. So this is fusiform shape, wherein this one. Okay, wherein what is happening is your aneurysm develops like a spindle. All right, it will symmetrically come out, the bulge will be symmetrically coming outside. That is a fusiform kind of aneurysm. So on both the ends of the blood vessel, or both the walls, both the sides of that blood vessel wall, you will be able to see a bulge. That will give you a fusiform aneurysm. Saccular will be only one side has weakened, or it has more pressure, because of which one side is bulging out. Okay, what I drew earlier, this is also called berry aneurysm. Specifically, you will see berry aneurysms in this thing, your circle of Willis. Circle of Willis is a what do you call blood vessel connection which supplies to the brain, posterior end of the brain. Okay, sorry, inferior end of the brain. This is a pseudoaneurysm. If you can see यहाँ पर, as you can see, blood vessel wall is breaking and blood is pulling out. There is a hole created and blood is pulling out, making a false aneurysm. All right. So that showed two types of. One second, this fella should be up. Right. So that was one classification. Second classification is, depending on shape, you have fusiform or spindle shaped, wherein both the sides, both the walls or both the sides of the wall. So this wall is getting affected like this, and this wall is getting affected like this, forming a spindle-like shape. Okay, that is fusiform. What do you call fusiform aneurysm? Then you have cylindrical aneurysm. One second, cylindrical aneurysm. Cylindrical aneurysm में क्या होता? Basically, it looks like this. It looks roughly like a cylinder. Okay, that is cylindrical aneurysm. Uh, Saccular aneurysm or berry aneurysm will look like this. It will look like a small berry. Okay, it will basically look like this. Okay, if I show you a better picture, ऐसा दिखता है, एक second. See this. These small bulges that you are seeing here, these are berry aneurysms. Okay, this is the circle of Willis, and in circle of Willis you are having these berry aneurysms. Very common in circle of Willis, can happen. Yeah. Now coming to based on pathogenic mechanisms, the third way of classifying your aneurysm, based on the condition because of which you are getting aneurysm. So based on the pathological mechanism or the pathogenic mechanism, you have the third category of classification. Third, based on pathogenic mechanism. Basically, what is the underlying disease? Based on that, you will have one another type of classification that will include, the first one is atherosclerotic aneurysm. Now, atherosclerotic aneurysm mostly occurs in men, and this will most commonly occur in abdominal aorta. Okay, abdominal part of aorta, just under your thoracic aorta. It can sometimes involve thoracic aorta as well, but mostly in your abdominal aorta. Sometimes it will go into your iliac arteries as well. What happens is your blood vessel wall that will dilate to such an extent that it will be fusiform in shape, but it will become almost 5 to 6 centimeters in diameter. Normally your blood vessel walls are somewhere around 1 to 2 centimeters in diameter, the two major blood vessels. Okay, I'm talking like aorta level. What will happen is, because of the bulge, fusiform shaped bulge, so you will have a spindle shaped bulge like this will be around 5 to 6 centimeters in diameter, so that's quite large aneurysm. This can lead to major changes in your circulatory pathway, right? Generally the wall of your atherosclerotic aneurysm, it loses its uh, what you call turgidity and integrity, and it is very hard to get it back. You will generally have to perform surgery in cases of aneurysm, right? So I'll show you one image for atherosclerotic aneurysm. One second. See, it starts off like this. You will have a normal blood vessel, then there will be fatty deposit, which will cause vessel wall damage. So whenever there is fat getting deposited in atherosclerosis, we studied, initially LDL is coming and it is getting deposited inside, then an inflammatory reaction is occurring, right? That inflammatory reaction can also damage your vessel wall, all right? Specifically in this case, if the damage is so extensive that it is what you call considering considerably weakening the wall of the blood vessel, what will happen is an aneurysm will occur. Now if that aneurysm specifically occurs to a severe degree where it is becoming 5 to 6 centimeters in diameter, that will be an atherosclerotic aneurysm. All right, I hope you understood that. Please feel free to stop me. I'll not stop until unless you ask me doubts, because I'll assume that you are understanding. Okay, please feel free to ask doubts at any time if you want me to repeat anything or any particular part. The second type is syphilitic aneurysm. So I'm sure you have heard about a disease called venereal disease called syphilis. Now 10% of cases of syphilis, in 10% of cases of syphilis, what will happen is some patients will develop an aneurysm, especially in the thoracic aorta. Sometimes it might even occur in the ascending part of your aorta, so this part. So if I take your aorta like this, okay, this is the ascending part. Syphilitic aneurysms mostly occur in the ascending part, sometimes in the what you call thoracic aorta as well, right? Thoracic part of the aorta. You will not have a very significant dilation. It will not be very large, but what you call, it will be around 3 to 5 centimeters. Okay, not as much as atherosclerotic. It will be around 3 to 5 centimeters, and it will be mostly saccular in shape. Saccular shape will basically look like this. Second. Saccular will look like this. You will form a small sac like structure, because of which this will be around 3 to 5 centimeters in diameter. Okay, mostly in the thoracic aorta or in the ascending part of your aorta. Mostly occurs in people around 50 years of age. That is something that occurs here. And your intimal surface, the part of intima here in the blood vessel, wherever this aneurysm is occurring, it will start looking like the bark of a tree. It will shrivel, it will wrink, what will happen is it will start looking very dry and like the bark of a tree. All right, that happens in syphilitic aneurysms. The next type of aneurysm is dissecting aneurysm. Dissecting aneurysm. Now, dissecting aneurysm is, though it does not look like a true aneurysm. I'll show you how it looks. One second. See, this is a dissecting aneurysm. Now, what happens is there is a dissection in your blood vessel wall. It does not bulge completely, but your dissection, wherever this kind of damage is occurring. So if you can see this part, right, what will happen is blood will start pooling along the longitudinal or along the length of the vertical blood vessel. It will flow vertical longitudinally beside the main blood flow. Okay, that is what happens in dissecting aneurysm. A small dissection is created and your blood will flow longitudinally parallel to your normal blood flow. Okay, it will not bulge like this generally. That is because of a dissection. Now you will not see significant dilation, obviously. This is also called dissecting hematoma. Okay, can be a problem sometimes because specifically because blood flow is being altered. Other than that, this can be a nice site for infection as well. All right, so that can occur. Then you have the next type, that is fourth type, which is mycotic aneurysm. Mycotic aneurysms are pretty much simple. They are specifically because of weakening in your arterial wall from a microbial infection. Okay, there is some sort of microbial infection which is damaging your blood vessel wall, which is leading to mycotic aneurysms. Excuse me. The fifth kind will be berry aneurysms, specifically in your circle of Willis. Okay. Berry aneurysms are small dilations. I showed you the image. They'll be very small in size and mostly occurs in the base of your brain, the circulatory system in the base of your brain called circle of Willis. All right. So this is about aneurysms, and this completes your cardiology in pathology at least. Okay, I hope you understood this. If you want me
Sir,
to repeat anything, कुछ repeat करना?
sir,
हाँ हाँ बोलो.
sir, can you please repeat dissecting aneurysm?
Dissecting aneurysm. See,
Yes, sir.
dissecting aneurysm में क्या हो रहा? There is no bulge as such. So if I draw it, come 1 second. So initially अपन बोल रहे थे, if there is a blood vessel, it is dilating like this, right? It is either dilating like this, or in any case, if it is a saccular aneurysm, it is dilating only on one side. यहाँ पर in dissecting aneurysm, you will not see a dilation per se. What you will see is a dissection in the blood vessel wall. So normally, if your blood vessel wall is like this, let's suppose these are the three walls: tunica intima, tunica media, tunica externa. ठीक है? यहाँ पर there is a small dissection created around this part. ठीक है? तो if I draw here a dissection, let's suppose intimal layer में dissection हो रहा, and this is the dissection here. There is damage here basically. So what will happen is blood will flow along the main supply. Now main supply is going like this, right? ये direction में जा रहा. Blood will start going beside it, and it will start flowing parallelly to an extent. यहाँ पर pull in नहीं होता, because after one point of time what will happen is it will stop pushing in. This will not bulge like this. Okay, it will just flow parallelly like this, and the rest of it will go here. यहाँ पर blood can get stagnated and it can create infections and all of that in this location. Okay, यहाँ पर the dissection is here. That is why it is called a dissecting aneurysm. बाजू से एक और think of it like a fistula. बाजू से it is trying to create another pathway and going. Okay, you will not have a bulge as such, but it will be a dissection. I hope that clears your doubt.
Yes, sir.
Anyone else, any doubts?
Sir, can you please repeat syphilitic aneurysm?
Syphilitic aneurysm में क्या है? What happens is आपके syphilis में 10% of syphilis के cases में one complication is seen, which is your syphilitic aneurysms, specifically in the ascending part of your aorta or your thoracic aorta. यहाँ पर क्या होता है? The vessel wall will get shriveled. Okay, it will dry and it will become something like a tree bark. Okay, and you will have a saccular aneurysm in that. So you will see a small saccular aneurysm like this, and the area of that blood vessel wall that you're seeing, यहाँ पर you will see tree bark like vertical structure. So tree ka bark रहता ना, the brown dry kind of bark, you will see that kind of structure in your blood vessel. Alright, that is syphilitic aneurysm. We'll not go into detail because you need to know what is syphilis and what are the complications of syphilis for that. But this is what happens in syphilitic aneurysm. I hope that clears it out.
Yes, sir.
Okay, anyone else? Nope. Okay. So, right. We'll continue with pharmacology. This ended our cardiology. No, we'll continue with pharmacology. So the last time in pharmacology, we were discussing what are local anesthetics. Specifically, I told you about field block. If you remember, field block is a what do you call kind of conduction block where if an abscess is present here, you give an injection here and you give an injection here, where you're poking here, inserting inside, administering the drug while withdrawing the needle, and you keep that needle still inside the skin, just the end of that needle or the tip of the needle. You rotate this needle 90 degrees in this angle, you poke it inside again, and while withdrawing, you administer the drug. You do the same procedure on this end. So you basically create a field block like this. So this much area will be blocked, or this much area will be anesthetized. All right. This is a field block. Just to remind you what happened in the last class. Now coming to nerve block. So we have something called a nerve block. Nerve block में क्या करते हैं? If I have a nerve, you basically what you do is you relax a patient and you make them lie sideways. Now जिधर भी nerve block कर रहे हैं, depending on the location of that nerve, you will change the position of the patient. Generally, you will make them lie down in a very comfortable position. And what you do is, let's suppose the patient is lying down. I'll just show you the video. It will be easier. 1 second.
Your anesthesia doc.
हाँ जी, दिख रहा है ये? Are you able to see the video?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
अच्छा, अब देखो, ये patient को they are performing a nerve block now. What they do is,
To begin, the nerve block.
they will make sure the patient is nice and comfortable.
Placing the nerve block will usually take 5 to 15 minutes.
What
It
you
will
do?
take longer if your doctor is give you a small amount of medicine through your IV.
See, initially what he's doing is he's giving a pre-anesthetic drug here, just so that the patient does not have any particular type of reaction, or a pre-anesthetic दे दे रहे.
Be relaxed during the procedure.
Specifically muscle relaxant देते, and sometimes maybe anti-anxiety drug भी देते होंगे, just to relax the patient. Okay.
The medicine will not knock you out. It is important for you to be awake during the nerve block.
Another thing that you need to remember about nerve block is your purpose of giving nerve block is not to knock the patient out. You want the patient to be conscious during the procedure, because you will understand why in a
So
short
that
bit.
you can follow any instructions and let the doctor know if you are feeling any pain or discomfort during the process. Bacterial soap. Most
See, he's
surgeons
initially
such as
clean
bacterial
that
soap,
what you call skin.
they use a special machine that uses sound waves.
So what you do is you use an what do you call, use a particular machine. We'll not go into detail of that, and you use sound waves to find out what do you call this thing. You try to find the location of that nerve. Okay, you use sound waves and try to use resonance and try to find out the location of the nerve, where that nerve is present. After locating the nerve, what the doctor will do is, see, that is the nerve.
Once the nerve has been located, the actual nerve block can begin.
Now what this doctor will do is,
Place a small amount of numbing medicine.
he will initially what do you call, administer a small amount of numbing medicine near that area. Okay, wherever he's going to give a nerve block, near that area, initially he'll give a small dosage of drug just to numb that area.
Skin.
Okay,
Once your doctor has located the nerve with the ultrasound machine, they will then place a small blunt needle right next to
see, now what he'll do is, after he has anesthetized it and what you call located it using an ultrasound, what he will do is he will use a blunt needle and poke, so that he is injecting directly beside the nerve which was found. So he used an what do you call this thing, ultrasound machine, to find out your nerve, right? Uske bazu dete, right? They will give right beside that nerve, nearby that nerve.
the nerve.
Okay, a
Please
blunt
let
nerve.
your doctor know if you are feeling
At
any
this point, you want the patient to be awake, because you do not want to nick the nerve. If you nick the nerve, the patient will immediately be able to feel a sharp pain. So you want the patient to be conscious during that time, just in case you nick the nerve. All right.
discomfort, such as sharp or shooting pain. This will allow your doctor to adjust the location of the needle. Once the needle
See,
is
he'll
placed
check
on the
that
position,
location
the
and
doctor will
he'll
apply
administer.
numbing medicine next to the nerve.
Just next to the nerve, he will what do you call, the doctor will administer what do you call, the numbing medicine right beside the nerve. All right, that is the nerve block basically. I hope you understood that. You locate the nerve, so you use an ultrasound. Let's suppose this is the nerve. You locate the nerve. On the surface, you give a small amount of local anesthetic. After that, you place a blunt needle that is present very close to the nerve, and you make sure that the patient is awake, because you do not you want the patient to tell in case they are experiencing any shooting or sharp pain. Excuse me. Once you locate the nerve and the position where you are giving, you slowly administer the anesthetic, and that is the that is a nerve block basically. That nerve and the generally kya karte, it is given either near a plexus or near peripheral nerve, so that whatever area is present beneath it, all of it will get anesthetized. All right, I hope समझ में आया तुम लोगों को what is nerve block. No response. समझ में आया नहीं आया?
Yes, sir.
समझ में आया? Okay. If you didn't understand, let me know. I will repeat again. See, just in case you did not understand, and repeat again. What you do is you take the patient, make them comfortably lie down, and you apply soap and you locate the nerve wherever it is present. Okay, you use an ultrasound and you try to find where that nerve is. After you find the nerve, on the surface of the skin, you will give a little bit of numbing medicine. Okay, once you numb the part of that skin just on top of the nerve, you will poke a blunt needle inside, near the nerve, not on the nerve, but near the nerve, very close to the nerve. You do not want to inject inside the nerve or nick the nerve. Okay, you'll give it very close to the nerve, and you'll make sure that you're not nicking the patient. That is why you want the patient to be conscious, in case the patient can immediately tell that, yeah, I'm having shooting pain or sharp pain near that location. The doctor can readjust. All right, and once the position is okay, you will administer the anesthetic. That is a nerve block. All right, coming to the next one, I hope you understood that. That is nerve block. Coming to the next one is spinal anesthesia. Spinal anesthesia में क्या करते हैं? You give the local anesthetic in your subarachnoid space. Okay, in your meninges, you have three meninges, right? Dura mater, pia mater. The outermost being dura mater, middle being arachnoid mater, and innermost being pia mater. Under the pia mater, you will generally have your what do you call this thing? CSF. Now, आप क्या करते हैं? Spinal anesthesia is given in subarachnoid space. So right here. Okay. So this is arachnoid matter, this is dura mater, and this is pia mater. Inside here, you will have CSF. All right. This is going outside. All right. This is inside. Now you will inject the spinal anesthesia in subarachnoid space, just below the spinal cord. So at the end of your spinal cord, you will have something called a cauda equina. Okay, if you open your physiology book and see once, you'll see a small horsetail end. Okay, that small end of your spinal and spinal cord, it will look like a horsetail. Okay, you will have several nerves and nerve endings there. That position is called cauda equina. You will give this spinal anesthetic below the cauda equina. You will try to find the intracrustal line. So if you have in your hips, let's suppose this is your hip. Okay, यहाँ पर on the iliac crest, यहाँ पर you will make a line like this, imaginary line रहती, L4 L5 के position पे, यहाँ पर you will inject. Okay, this is a little too high, should be around this. Okay, ऐसा देते ये. First you'll try to find this line. After that, this line के midpoint पे, which is around L4 L5, lumbar 4 lumbar 5 के बीच में रहता, वहाँ पर inject कर दइए. Okay. What happens is when you give it, it will act on the nerve root, specifically going to your lower abdomen and to your limbs. So that area will get anesthetized and it will get paralyzed. Generally, your lignocaine, your ropivacaine, bupivacaine, tetracaine, all of these are used mainly for surgical procedures that are meant for, you know, lower limbs or your lower abdomen or pelvis, or sometimes even for obstetric procedures. You will use these. Cesarean section के लिए भी use करते कभी-कभी. All right, now those are all, that is about your anesthetics. The main complications that you see with any anesthetic is, whenever you are giving an anesthetic, is the patient might have hypovolemia, the patient might experience hypotension, decrease in blood pressure, they might have bradycardia, respiratory paralysis if you're not careful. That is why anesthesiologist's job is very important. If what do you call, they mess up the dose even a little bit, what will happen is the patient will undergo, or they might experience respiratory arrest. All of these complications can occur. CSF leakage might occur, which will lead to headache and later on other problems as well. All right. You might have something called a cauda equina syndrome, where if you nick the nerve of cauda equina, you might lose bladder control and you might lose bowel sphincter control. Okay, that is specifically called cauda equina syndrome. It is uncommon nowadays, but can happen. Sepsis might occur if pre-medication specifically is not given. Sometimes what will happen is, at the site of injection, sepsis might occur, and later on the patient might have nausea and vomiting. As a nurse, you have to make sure that the patient does not have allergy to any specific anesthetic. So you have to make sure that by giving a little bit amount of anesthetic initially, make sure that they do not have allergy to that particular drug. And post-operatively, you have to encourage the patient to cough and change positions, specifically because sometimes what will happen after giving an anesthetic, the patient might, excuse me, the patient might get pneumonia, or they might develop pneumonia. In that condition, you would want the patient to cough and change positions. If they are coughing and if they are changing position, you will be able to diagnose. In case if there is a problem in coughing, or if they're having pain while changing bodily position, especially when they are lying down, what will happen if they have developed pneumonia, you'll be able to detect it. Okay, so that is about your anesthetics. Take your this was the only part that was left in anesthetics that we what you call left out that day. Just take your attendance. 18/7/2020. Anjali, Anusha, Shanti, and Mamata, Yajik. Chalo. ठीक है. On Monday, we'll continue with pharmacology. We'll try to finish CNS agents as soon as possible. After that, we'll do pathology after that. All right. You have gastrointestinal tract of pathology. ठीक है. चलो.
Thank you, sir.
Right.